And welcome back to Inside the Valley on this Sunday morning. Well, it's an initiative aimed at PTSD. It's put on through the Nueva Luz Foundation. Talk a little bit more about this initiative, also the foundation. We've got two experts on the show. We have Renee Alvarez and Cassandra Valadez on the show. Thank you guys both so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So before we start talking about your PTSD initiative, what it's all about, how it kind of came about, let's first of all talk a little bit about the Nueva Luz Foundation and what that foundation is all about.
The Nueva Luz was formed after our for-profit saw a lot of need in the community with individuals that have been affected by trauma and those stressors and those effects of trauma leading into PTSD. The need for services here in the Valley is greatly needed, especially amongst children and families. And that's where the foundation was created. Our mission is to further the quality of life for anybody affected by trauma and PTSD, whether it be a child being bullied at school to an adult that maybe dealt with a car accident and is now having trouble dealing with the effects.
And since the foundation first started, how have things grown? How have things been? Have you noticed a lot of positive things happening out of the foundation?
A lot of positives. What we're trying to do is reduce the stigma that's related to trauma and PTSD and bring awareness through education. We want to educate the community on the effects of trauma and PTSD, understanding that maybe a certain behavior is because of those stressors that they're dealing with. And if we understand the stressors, if we understand what's happening to our bodies, then we can better cope with it.
And you're able to also help out, maybe, I don't know if you call them your patients or not, but maybe help them kind of understand, you know, how to maybe get past it or get further it by, as you say, education?
Yes, definitely. We've been very lucky enough to receive grants from the Office of the Governor these past couple of years.
Oh, great.
And we are now offering our services to the school districts, to municipal courts, to the juvenile centers. And the children that we work with, we teach them how to understand the everyday stressors of life so that way they can better cope and ultimately prevail.
Absolutely. Now, your PTSD initiative that you have, this is geared towards first responders because, you know, we know a lot of veterans have PTSD, but so do first responders because first responders are exactly what it means, first responders. You're usually first one there to the scene, whether that be a car accident, a burning house, whatever it is, a shooting. You're usually the first ones who are there, so you usually see that first. PTSD amongst first responders, it's a pretty big thing too.
Yes.
I don't know if a lot of people really recognize it, you know, because they're like, well, you know, there are police officers, there are firefighters, you know, they see this stuff all the time. But no, I mean, you deal with that as well.
Yes, there's a lot of it. We're seeing a big push throughout the nation in the fire service on the aspects of PTSD, the prevention, the mental health, how we have to take care of our first responders. We train our first responders to do the job, to go out there and try to mitigate whatever situation they come across. But what about after that situation? Right. So I was present when the foundation did a presentation, and I saw how this was a kind of proactive approach to get our first responders to recognize certain stressors. And with the program they have, it's a educational aspect on how you can recognize and what you can do. So I wanted to become part of it, and with that we came up with an idea of a regional mental health task force for our first responders that we're working on. Here in the Valley, we work great as a regional concept, which I'm pretty sure you all know. So I said, it'd be great if we can start something like that. So that's in the works too. Absolutely.
Now, I know it's, you know, sometimes when you come back from, you know, a house fire, maybe some people tragically lost their lives in that fire. A lot of people sometimes might not say anything and the shift is over and then they go home. I've also heard that it's good for, you know, when you come home from something like that to talk about it amongst your fellow firefighters, you know, get it off your chest, kind of get it out there instead of taking it home, taking it back to your family. Is this initiative that you're doing as well, kind of like, okay, we're going to train our firefighters, our first responders, kind of, you know, how to get it off their chest, you know, if they have something to say it, you know, and don't keep it inside?
Yes, it's the training will guide them and recognize certain stressors, what they can do. And with the mental health task force, we're wanting to train our very own to be able to, those people have somebody to turn to at first, maybe, and get rid of the negative stigma, like we're talking about, that it's okay to want to talk about something like that. If it's bothering us, you know, we should be able to know that it's okay to talk to our peers and have somebody there to talk to, yes.
So is this going to be a program that you're going to be offering to all first responders, or how does this PTSD initiative work?
Yes, this is open to all first responders,
Okay.
fire, law enforcement, EMS, 911 dispatchers, or healthcare professionals that work in ER or in trauma settings.
Okay. Now, do they need to sign up for it?
Yes, there
Okay.
is, on our Facebook pages, we do have an online registration link. It is completely free of charge, and we will have TEEKs from Texas A&M available and on site to assist with any CEUs that our professionals might be needing as well.
You know what? You brought up a great point.
Mm-hmm.
911 dispatchers. I mean, no one ever thinks, that they could suffer from PTSD, but they're the ones who take that call.
Initially, yes.
Exactly, and usually that is someone who is frantic, distressed, can hardly speak, can hardly talk. So I'm sure that they deal with a lot of that as well.
Yes.
Now, as you said, this is free of charge. When is the program or classes
This
starting?
is next Tuesday.
Okay.
This is next Tuesday at UTRGV at the CES building. It will be from 9 to 5.
Okay.
We are looking to host this hopefully every quarter. This particular event is being sponsored by the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council and the Rio Grande Valley Fire and Fire Marshals Association. That's why we're lucky enough to have it completely free of charge and open to all of first responders.
Now, do you have a class capacity amount of people?
Yes, we do have a limit of 150, so seating is limited.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is open completely to all those first responders that you
Yes.
said, from upper to lower valley?
All over, region-wide if need be.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as you said, this obviously is going to cost a little bit of money, a little bit of cash, but it's being put on by the Rio Grande Valley Development Council.
Yes.
Now, if you want to do this again, will you have to apply for a grant, or how would...
Reach out to me. We do work with any organization that might be needing any of these services. We're also working very closely with the Mercedes Police Department and a couple of other organizations. That way we can bring our services. You had mentioned earlier the families of our first responders. We're actually offering trainings to our families, to the families
Oh, wow.
of our first responders as well, so that way they can better understand the stressors that their loved ones deal with on a daily basis.
And real quickly, are there any certain things that you can tell or see if you are a family of a first responder or a family member when someone comes home, maybe their head might be down or maybe they're kind of just go to their room right away? Are those certain distressors that you might be like, okay, something is wrong?
There's definitely quite a bit of different identifiers. Everybody is somewhat different, but that's one of the things that we do go over, whether it be a flat affect, a little bit of silence, sweaty palms,
Sure.
different identifiers, understanding their own first responders so that they know when they need to take a step back.
And then real quickly, where can people get some more information?
NuevaLuzFoundation.org.
Perfect. I
Yes.
want to thank you guys both so much for being on the show on this Sunday morning. We posted some more information there for you as well. NuevaLuzFoundation.org, or call this number 956-351-5653. Cassandra and Renee, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. That's going to do it for us for Inside the Valley on this Sunday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week as well. I'll see you back here next Sunday. Take care.